Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Sean from All Things EV, and this is my review of the Polestar 2 I had a chance to get behind the wheel of a couple of weeks ago. This is an electric vehicle that I've been particularly excited about because it's a ground-up electric vehicle from a traditional-ish automaker. I say that because Polestar, the automaker brand, is actually a sister company of Volvo, and man, can you tell that this is created by the designers of Volvo. Now, I would like to note that I did reach out to Polestar directly to see if I could get a press vehicle, but they said they didn't have any available, so I opted to rent this one on Turo. I flew into Dallas to pick up the Polestar 2, and I wanted to make sure that I had sufficient time behind the wheel to give you the best review and opinion about the vehicle. So I called up my Tesla buddy and real estate agent Anwar Beck in Austin and asked him out to lunch. He thankfully politely agreed. The drive to Austin, which was about 3 hours including one charging stop, gave me time to get a good feel for the driving experience, the interior design, exterior design, and charging on the road trip. And that's what I'd like to cover in this video. Let's start off with the exterior design. If I knew nothing about the Polestar brand, I'd think this was a new Volvo vehicle from far away, and perhaps closest to the S60 sedan that Volvo makes. That being said, I found the exterior design to be the least remarkable part about the car. It's average, it blends in, and when you put it side by side with a Model 3, it looks really chunky. There's quite a bit of carryover from Volvo, especially around the front fascia. Their Tour Hammer headlights are a direct carryover. The taillights do have a Volvo sedan look. From its side profile, you can clearly tell it has a hatch. However, the slope to the rear appears to be quite blunt, leaving the back third of the vehicle looking stubby. It would have been great if they stretched out the wheelbase just a bit to draw out that body line a little bit more. So in terms of the exterior design, I'm going to rate this a 5 out of 10 because it's just not a very remarkable looking car. Now, the interior design I'm a little bit more bullish on. My favorite feature of the car by far was how Polestar decided to utilize Android Automotive OS for their infotainment. Android Automotive is not to be confused with Android Auto, a far more limited mobile device application. The native vehicle OS Android Automotive offers built-in integration with Google Maps, Google Assistant, and Google Play App Store. They take it a step further with allowing the Android-driven OS to control core vehicle functions like the HVAC, performance metrics, and service. The 11.2-inch screen was extremely responsive, which was surprising because I'm used to traditional automotive makers' infotainment screens being an afterthought. The Google-based OS is most definitely the best non-Tesla software I have experienced in a vehicle. I'd even go so far as to say it is on par with Tesla's homegrown infotainment OS. Interior design was modest, minimalist, and what you'd expect from the Polestar's parent company, Volvo. However, and ironically, if you're coming from a Tesla, the dash may feel a bit busy with its various buttons in the middle console and steering wheel. The front seats offer ample room for the driver and passenger. The back seats, however, leave a lot to be desired for adults. There is zero headroom in the middle seat, and for whatever reason, Polestar thought it was a good idea to stick the batteries where you typically find a drive shaft tunnel in a gas car. This left very little room for my feet to sit comfortably. As far as I'm aware, Polestar 2 is the only ground-up EV to use this drive shaft tunnel styling. They do store some batteries in there, but why? This is one element that Polestar should do away with in the next iteration of the car. Even the outside rear seat had limited headroom. It would have been very nice if they carried that all-glass roof a little bit further back to allow taller individuals like myself better sitting comfort. For the interior design, I'm going to rate this a 6 out of 10, and that's primarily because of that middle back seat, the no headroom, and footroom. Next is a driving experience. The acceleration was actually as good as a Tesla Model 3. Each time I wanted to get up and go from a stop, it had ample pickup to throw me back in my seat with its 408 horsepower. Handling around corners also was very, very nice. Its all-wheel drive helped it stay planted on the ground firmly as I went around turns. Even at highway speeds, the cabin noise was minimal and serene. In fact, I'd say it's comparable to the Mach-E I tested a couple of months ago. Thankfully, there was no stop-start button like the Mach-E. I just got into the car, put my foot on the brake, and put the car into drive. I commend Polestar for dropping the start-stop button, as it is not needed in an EV. Simply opening the door should power up the car, and putting the car in drive should be as simple as sitting in the seat, putting your foot on the brake, and putting the car into drive. The driver assist features were sufficient for my road trip from Dallas to Austin, but there's not really much to write home about this feature. It successfully kept me in the lane pretty consistently, and its adaptive cruise control did speed up and slow down based on the traffic in front of me. Regarding the 233 miles of EPA estimated range, I think it's a bit underwhelming for the size of the car. I'd expect for something like this to have a little bit closer to 300 miles of range. And on my road trip, it would have meant that I would not have needed to stop at all to charge. However, stopping once each way did not feel too much of an inconvenience for me, as my 2013 Model S has about the same range. I'd rate the driving experience a 7 out of 10 based on the get up and go as well as the handling around corners. The vehicle did offer multiple charging network options when you selected an end destination, but I ultimately ended up utilizing strictly Electrify America, as it was the one recommended by the owner as the best overall charging experience. And I've also found this to be the case with various non-Tesla EVs I've driven. The vehicle actually offers waypoints, which is something that Tesla owners have been asking for quite a while. It was nice to be able to add in additional stops along the way, and the car automatically adjusts the state of charge. Though the Electrify America charging stations were reliably available, the payment process was a bit clunky. I downloaded the mobile app, added money onto it, and used the near-field communication technology on the phone to have it talk to the charger stall. The NFC has typically worked pretty seamlessly the few times I've used it at grocery stores. This time, it seemed to take a while for the stall to pick up the signal. What I think would be a far more seamless solution is to utilize the Google Play App Store already built into the car to download the Electrify America app directly to the car's screen. That way, all you need to do is plug in the car and the stall validates the car automatically. The charging experience, in my opinion, based on the reliability of the charging network, I'd rate an 8 out of 10. Now, for those watching this video that follow me on Twitter, you already know that I ran into a little bit of a challenge on my way back to Dallas that day. After stopping to charge in Round Rock, which is a north suburb of Austin, I noticed that my acceleration was restricted on the highway. There was even a little icon of a turtle to indicate that there was an issue. Over the course of a mile or so, the acceleration became so minimal that I knew I had to pull over. Over the course of 3 hours, I tried to work with Polestar's roadside assistance and the owner to get a tow truck to pick up the vehicle. Eventually, I told the owner that I needed to get back to Dallas for my flight. The car had completely died, my phone was on the verge of dying, and I decided to make a call to my mother, who lived not too far away, to come and pick me up so I could figure out how to get from Austin to Dallas at 10 p.m. at night. To make a long story short, and $260 later, I was able to find an Uber driver that was willing to take me the 3-hour trip from Austin to Dallas so I could get to my hotel room. I eventually arrived there at around 2:30 a.m. As a result of this snafu, it sounds like Polestar will be issuing a recall for the Polestar 2 vehicles. Overall, I was really pleased with my experience with the Polestar 2, and that's even considering the 3 hours I was stranded on the side of the highway in 90-degree temperatures. The exterior design really is not my favorite. It's just an average design, and it seems to blend in quite easily to other vehicles on the road. My favorite part by far was the Android Automotive operating system. I really think that they've got something figured out, and I would expect for other automakers to take this same Android operating system and implement it into their electric vehicles. I will add and close with the fact that 233 miles of range, even if it supersedes that just slightly, is quite a bit underwhelming for the size of the vehicle. My Tesla 2013 Model S gets about that same range, and it's almost 10 years old. So I am a little bit surprised that that vehicle is not closer to 300 miles of range for coming out in 2021. My All Things EV score for the Polestar 2, which I'm officially launching with this video, is a 6.5 out of 10. And moving forward, I'll use the same criteria to rate other electric vehicles too. This is Sean from All Things EV. Thanks a ton for watching, and I'll catch everyone on the next video.